Get started. I just want to welcome you all. My name is Sandy Spinagle. I work with the Charles County Economic Development Department, and Charles County Economic Development and the Charles County Chamber of Commerce have come together to organize this webinar series for you. I'm going to be moderating the series over the next couple of months. And we will be hosting these webinars every Wednesday at 2 o'clock. Thank you for being here, being present while we work through our tech issues from earlier in the week. We do appreciate your patience. I'm thrilled to have US Tech as our local tech partner on these, so I don't have to worry about some of these behind the scenes things, like making sure we hit record. So thank you, Jay, for that. Really appreciate it. And, you know, as many of you know, yes, this is a really challenging time. I am a small business owner myself. I own a marketing and PR firm. I do a lot of work with economic development organizations around the region. But I see your struggles. I'm here with you and hope to be moderating these discussions from that perspective. We wanted to bring you some real world, very practical tips and ideas, and understanding more of the tools that are available so that you can not only survive during this pandemic, but also come out at the other end of it thriving. So that's what we're going to dive into today. We've got two panelists today. Throughout the series, we're going to have, you know, a different number of panelists. Some will pop in and out, some will be repeats, and others will be, you know, subject matter experts in their own right, based on that week's topic. So I'm going to invite our panelists to introduce themselves, and I will first start with Brianna Bowling, who is a local serial entrepreneur. So I'm not sure exactly how many businesses you have started, but has some you know, great perspective. So if you want to give us a quick little 30 seconds on you.
Yeah, and I will keep it short because I know that everyone sitting on here really just wants to get to the meat of the matter here. But I have started a number of businesses. I did launch actually two new businesses last fall. And so like you, I'm struggling just as much as any one of you listening today in terms of trying to figure out this, navigate it, and figure out better ways of marketing before all this started and now too.
Awesome. Thank you. And then we have Diane Devaney with Devaney and Associates. Diane, quick intro of you.
Thanks for including me, Sandy. My company is called Devaney and Associates. We're physically, well, when we're in the office, we're located in Owings Mills, Maryland. We're 29 years old. We're a full service advertising, marketing, and public relations firm. And we don't have all our client eggs in one basket. I have clients that are, you know, they're nonprofits, they're in education, they're in retail, they're in B2B, B2C. So I've tried to gather a lot of things that have been working over the last couple of weeks for my clients to share with everybody. And I'm excited to hear about all of your challenges and some of the solutions you guys have too.
Awesome. So I want to dive in, and the first question first topic I want to talk about is engagement. How can we continue to stay in front of and engage with our clients when we can't see them face to face? They're not coming into our stores. You know, we're exclusively online, perhaps, and in a virtual world. Any thoughts on that? And maybe we'll start with Diane.
The one thing that we felt was important, at least when first I'll talk about reaching out to our clients, is this is the first thing in my life that has affected every single person, but it's affected them in different ways. So what we sort of did is we took all of our clients and we sort of broke down into, you know, what of our clients are essential businesses and what kind of support can we help them with? What type of our clients are just trying to keep business going and keep it, you know, just keep it moving? And then what some of our clients were so dramatically affected, like event management companies, like restaurants, that for them, this was just very traumatic. And we tried to almost customize our reaching out to them and customize our messages to them. I will say not anybody that I've personally or anybody at my company's reached out to everybody has welcomed it. Even if It could be a client that has said, we need to take a break for a while. They still want your help with brainstorming. For many of our clients, even if they said we need to take a break, we've just continued doing the work at no charge. Everybody is looking for resources and help. So my advice is stay connected any way you can. There's a lot of tools to stay connected, but immediately on your existing website, on your email signature, on anything that you've already got going, put a message in there that you're a resource. I can get really specific and, we can talk about it later, but Brianna, what has your experience been?
So for me, I mean, I'm a business owner, so I'm a little bit different. So I started I ran a software engineering company, just as a little bit of background, for 20 years that I founded. And I exited from that and I started a retreat company, which is completely different from the software engineering company. I mean, so I had to relearn how to market in itself before all of COVID-19 hit. But I don't think in any business that you're running, not much changes in that. Our role as a business owner is to meet the needs of whoever it is our market is. And so while maybe these needs have changed, and we have to recognize that as a business owner, is how have our market, our audience, how have their needs changed? And so for mine, the education was still part of that. People still wanted education. They wanted ways of learning. And so the name of my company is Retreat and Learn. Well, I can't have people come and do retreats, but I can do the learning part of it. So the way that I'm reaching out to my audience, I can't have retreats, but I can build audience. And so right now I'm doing a series of educational 30-minute classes, basically, online, where I'm interviewing different people. I just finished an interview a few minutes ago with Satyam, who is the guy who actually runs our meditation and yoga at our retreats. But people do have still a need to have relaxation and ways of relieving all of this anxiety, right? So I interviewed him for 30 minutes. I just talked to him online on Facebook Live about how we can use proper breathing and meditation to relieve some of the anxiety that my normal audience is feeling. That need is still there. I just have to change the delivery of it. And by providing this education, I'm building my audience. They're talking about it. They're sharing it with their friends. And so when the time comes that I can have live retreats, my audience is still going to be there. So that's how I personally have done it.
Cool. Can you talk a little bit about, Brianna, how you're reaching a new audience and kind of growing that audience base? Are you doing, I mean, obviously you have a website, your website is mobile friendly. What are you doing from a social media or online marketing perspective?
So you actually had two different questions there, really. And so one of them is that, I mean, or at least I heard it as two different questions. So I do multiple ways of doing things. Some things I'm better at than other. I'm only one person. I can only do so much. And so focusing that and trying to realize that I can't be everybody to everywhere. So I focus for me personally on LinkedIn and Facebook. I do those and I do them well. Now, the rest of it, I kind of do it, but it's not the focus of it because I can't be everywhere. If I had a marketing team, maybe I could, but I'm just me. I can't do it. And I think most of the people listening probably are just them, or maybe one or two people. So how are they going to do that? So find something that you do it and just do that thing really, really well. In terms of growing audience, so my retreats were very much focused on wellness, meditation and yoga, healthy eating, aromatherapy, those type of things. But learning crosses all kinds of things. And so the videos that I'm doing are focusing on the needs of my audience in all different areas. So like next week, we're doing a video on, I'm interviewing actually somebody I graduated high school with, which is great. She happens to be an expert on homeschooling, and everyone's having issues with I am thrown into this. How do I homeschool? Right. So she homeschooled for 16 years. She also taught in the public schools. So she has the broad area that she can answer these questions. And so we're going to do a Facebook Live next week on homeschooling. That's not an area that I would have normally gotten into with my retreats, but yet it's going to broaden my audience. And so that's going to be shared. And when the time comes that I have a retreat again, there's going to be somebody who normally would have never known about me, but because they were interested in homeschooling, now suddenly does. So that broadened my audience.
Oh, yay. Diane, what are you thinking?
For me, it's very specific by client. We have a continuing care retirement community that previously had not done
Uh-oh.
Yep. I think we lost Diane.
Uh-oh. I love technology. Have I said that enough today? Oh.
No, but Sandy, that's a really good point though. I mean, all of us, this is part of what we're struggling with, right? And the fact that we're not going to do it perfectly. Last, Wednesday we were supposed to do this, it didn't go through. Today we're having some technical difficulties. That's what every single person here listening is facing. And that's okay. We all have to be understanding of that.
Yeah, I think the point that you made, and we'll, you and I will have a conversation before Diane gets back, was this idea of a one-person operation and, or a small team. You've got limited resources, financial and staff-wise, and you need to be as lean and mean and effective as you possibly can. So what I was hearing from you, and I'm curious of your thoughts, is stick with what you feel comfortable with and that you can do well.
No, it's true. Like, so Instagram is probably a great place that I should be going. I can tell you, I can't understand it. I can't figure it out. I've looked at it. My kids think it's ridiculous that I can't figure it out. So I kind of have this arrangement with my 18-year-old daughter that I post it on Facebook, and when she thinks of it, she'll grab it and throw it on Instagram for me. Yes. I don't know if it's working, but I know I can't do it. There's just not that many hours in the day. So I'm going to focus on what I know and what I can do well.
Yeah. It's somebody that is always a recommendation that we make to our clients is to, you don't want to take over too much because you will not be able to do them effectively. But if you can focus on the things that and maybe review, learn a little bit more, understand a little bit more about that platform. LinkedIn often is someplace that some people feel really comfortable and someplace that others, it just seems foreign and like a waste of time to them. And it really is going to depend upon their, the industry, and thinking about where your target audience is. So I think that, one of the, the education, there was a nonprofit, in our audience today, somebody in a nonprofit education environment, depending upon who it is that they're trying to connect with, LinkedIn might be really, really helpful. But the pet sitting services might be all Facebook or all Instagram all the time. And, so figuring
we just had a comment on there that was actually a really good comment about that. There are services that if you, and I actually do use those, that if you post on Facebook or there's just different services you can put, it will actually put it out to all the different venues. So I'll throw it on Instagram and LinkedIn. And that was a really good comment from, I'm sorry, I missed the name. And I can't do two things at once. I'm not that great at it, but, and that is a good point. And so I do use those services. I'm still learning though. I'm not great at this yet. And so I don't use them as effectively as I should.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There are things, we've used Hootsuite and, different things in the past. And this was, Katie with Grill 13.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
What she said that she uses. So I think, and then Travis actually just said that he uses Hootsuite. So we use Hootsuite for Twitter. We don't use it for anything else. I find that there are some limitations. The Facebook algorithm prefers if you're going to share between Facebook and Instagram because they're owned, that's okay. Mm-hmm. Beyond that, you really want to be careful and respective of the different platforms that they're doing. So,
right.
But Diane, sorry, we were going with it, but you were right in the middle of your comment about one of your clients and their experiences.
I'm so sorry. I'm having terrible technical issues today. So sorry.
No worries at all. Thinking about, ways to, or using this time. One of the other, questions that we have is, questions about SEO and, what are your thoughts on, using this time as an opportunity to, kind of ramp up or feel more comfortable in how to manage SEO, how to elevate SEO. Do you guys have any thoughts or tips on, things within the world of search engine optimization, that is SEO?
We've been using a really good one. It's called the Google Guarantee. And this is a free service from Google that you have to apply for, and your business applies for it. You get a background check from Google. And then once you're accepted as a Google Guaranteed business, your searches are coming up above all of the paid ads. And there's some business benefits to this Google guarantee also, because they're advertising it to the users online and saying, we're backing this business. We've already checked this business out. So a lot of our clients have taken this time now to do that application process. I will tell you, everything has slowed down as far as approvals. Even ad approvals, any type, if you want to go in and update your hours or any information on your Google search, it's taking probably twice as long. Like where it used to take maybe 5 to 10 days, it's taking 10 to 20 business days to get the approvals, because I think a lot of people are using this downtime to update things. But I urge everybody to look into the Google guarantee to see if that's a good fit for their business.
That's a good one.
Oh, that's great. Yes. Okay. So everybody's writing that down. I know I wrote down Google guarantee on my piece of paper.
We really slow now. Actually another point on the Google thing too, is the other thing that helped me that I didn't realize when I first started the retreat business, is that because it was a new business, my old company was already on Google Maps. It showed up as an entity. A new business does not show up on Google Maps. So if your company is fairly new, you have to make sure that you're established on Google Maps, because then if you hold events or if somebody's looking for a restaurant in that area, you've got to be established on there so they can find you. Otherwise they can't find you.
Yeah, I'm curious. I don't know if, Diane, if you've worked with any restaurants or those that are doing curbside and have had to modify their businesses, but making sure that your Google My Business listing is current. Any particular tips along those lines that either one of you might have?
One thing we've had to do is make sure that the restaurants, and we have a wine bar that we handle and a restaurant, that they put it on their website, because as I said, even if you're changing your hours, Google's not catching up to that.
Gotcha.
So, even if it's not the most beautiful thing, right on your website, modified hours. We also have used social media to promote modified hours, curbside pickup. If somebody has like a little bit of a deviated menu, our wine bar does a lot of like events, and they're actually doing a lot of virtual testing, like tasting events. They're even partnering with a travel company, and they're actually doing different regions where they're talking about, these are the wines for the region. You can come by and order it ahead of time, pick it up and do it at home. They have a restaurant that they partnered to go a lot with a tasting menu, or they're also sending out the recipes. So it takes a little bit of coordinating, but that's working really well. And it's had really good engagement on social media. So people are looking for valuable resources for information right now. So, and I don't know that necessarily social media is always valuable, but people are all over social media just trying to stay connected and everything. So all of our advertising on the social media realm has been really, really effective right now.
Oh, great. Are you seeing that people are paying for advertising? Are either of you paying for advertising these days, digital or otherwise? Brian, are you?
Yeah, so I do some, I tell you, this is this new business. For one, it doesn't have a ton of revenue at this point. And so I'm kind of tipping my toe into the waters. One of the things, because I use Facebook regularly, one of the things that I found is that I do small little ads. So like I'll do like a $20 ad on Facebook, and I choose a very select audience, and I see it as focus group. It's kind of like a little marketing research to say, okay, that $20 ad got a lot of hits, and it got a lot of returns and people actually clicking on things. I will repeat that now at $100, but I do a small little test run first. And that's kind of helps with your budget a little bit. So the Facebook ads I use, I have not dipped my toes in the Google waters simply because of finances. I think that it's just outside of the realm of making sense right now for this newer business. But I'm sure you guys have lots more tips on that one, understanding the Google ads.
For advertising, at the very beginning, everyone was scared and a lot of advertising was canceled. Now everybody is trying to figure out a way to continue business. And so we've actually had a giant surge in advertising, all types. But all of the messaging has changed. Previously, it was very direct response related, and now it's very brand based. Our retirement communities, they want to thank the people that are coming to work to take care of all of the residents and patients in a nursing home setting. They want to support everybody out there. They want to look like a good member of the community. We do a lot of recruiting advertising. And again, at first, everybody was just scared. And now, well, now's the time to recruit because there's a lot of people without jobs. And so that's all sort of come back. So I think there's going to be an evening out, and it's not necessarily, I think people are going to keep advertising and keep promoting. It's just they're changing the message. Nobody can pretend like this didn't happen. Responsible businesses want to show everybody we are responsible. We have protocol for any kind of contamination. We want you to feel secure working with us. We want you to know our team and our staff is secure. So I think the messaging has greatly changed, but the advertising, now there still are, again, at the beginning, we were getting deals everywhere. We were getting, free advertising online on Maryland Public Television. Anybody that already had a schedule, we got a whole additional free schedule. We had free billboards. There are deals to be made out there. So if you are going to purchase advertising, digital, any type of advertising is 100% negotiable. Get the best rate you can. If they give you a package, say, oh, I really want to do this, but my budget is a little bit less, negotiate, because you can get a lot for your money right now.
Okay, so let's see. I've got Google guarantee. I've got perfect opportunity for Facebook testing with a small budget, testing messaging, testing images, testing keywords. This is a really, really good time to do all of
demographics
that.
too. The demographics are really super important.
Yeah, and negotiate. So, already some really, really good tips there. Diane, I'm curious what your experience or how you're managing expectations, or what your clients are doing to measure the ROI if they're shifting into a brand-based, if they were very, service, sales driven or even recruitment driven. How are they managing the ROI or reviewing that to see how effective it is?
We try to include a strong call to action and definitely ROI. It's much easier with digital than any other form. But one thing that we're really highlighting too is engagement. Any type of social media or anything like that, we're showing the client not just how many people clicked or shared or liked something, but what is the engagement and how far has that gone? The touching, heartwarming stories that our clients have been sharing and that they've been participating in are huge. We've been getting a lot from that. We've done a lot of dedicated landing pages because, again, we need to change sort of our messaging right now. We want, maybe if it's a home services company, we've made sure that their ads link to their COVID-19 protocol so that somebody feels safe hiring them, or, knows I need to have my AC checked. I'm going to wait maybe a week or two, but I want to make sure this company is going to be safe coming into my house. Engagement, trying to get people to respond by signing up for a new newsletter if you have a new service or a service that you haven't highlighted before. So everything you do really should have some kind of an ROI tied to it, where you're asking them to go somewhere or asking for some piece of information to try to capture that.
Cool. I'm curious, Brianna, what you do, how you kind of get that engagement with your audience, or constantly, how you are, and maybe how others could create engaging content for their audience, for their customers, for their prospective customers.
So it's actually something I'm struggling with. Okay. So this is something that I'm not doing perfectly, but I think that I'm improving on. When I talked about those videos that I've been doing lately with the learning videos. So one of the things I'm trying to encourage people to do is to ask questions. And we just noticed that right just now that, you said you gave a prize to the person who asked the first question. Nobody wants to ask a question, which I'm really excited that people are asking questions. That's great. And so how do I get people to ask questions? Because they're afraid it might be a stupid question or the wrong question, which is never the case. And so one of the things that I've been doing is that when I post the event and I'm putting these videos out as events, I'm asking people when they sign up to ask a question in there. So as part of the sign up, they ask the question. And so then they're engaging in an anonymous way that not everybody sees it, and they don't feel like they're just sticking their arm up in the air. It's kind of like behind the scenes. It's like you kind of talk to the teacher before the class started. And so their questions get answered. I'm getting some engagement. I'm getting some back and forth with them. I also have their contact information at that point. And I'm getting to basically the information that we're talking about during those videos is targeted towards what they wanted to hear. So they're sticking through for the entire video then, because we're answering their questions.
Cool. Yeah, no, I like it. Diane, any tips on content creation?
Well, keep doing it. Another SEO tip, and this actually hasn't changed since everything. Fresh content, that those algorithms are already determined on all of the search engines. That's nothing that's changed. And so the more content that you can put up, the better. And challenge yourself. We always have a goal of trying to repurpose any content. Our real goal is 7 times, but usually we're hitting around the 5-time part. And we make sure if we put it on social media, well, we may start with a longer piece, like a blog or a contributed article, and we'll break it into smaller pieces that are more digestible on social media. We're making sure, if you're a restaurant or a retail service, many people will share your content, your online communities, your chamber of commerce, your economic development group. They'll share the content for you right now. So you want to keep creating content, and you want to keep getting it dispersed in many places as possible.
I love that. And yes, you're right. Economic development, your economic development partners in your community, certainly in Charles County, will, reshare. We encourage people to, tag them or reach out to them so that they know how to do that, or so that they get the alert that it's there. And your chambers. Oh my gosh, the Charles County Chamber is, as are all the chambers across the state, I think doing an amazing job trying to stay connected and share all of the information. We all want nothing more than for everyone to come back thriving. So thank you for that, and that connection with SEO. So that latest tip that I just wrote down was to repurpose content. Yes, you spend way too much time and energy creating content. You do not want it to be a one and done. So that's awesome. That's great. I appreciate it. Let's see. I'm looking over here at my some of the questions that I had in advance, but I do actually probably want to address one of them here. Tracy asked us a question about search engines like Bing and others, and whether or not we're seeing people would need to have a greater shift from a little bit away from Google or focusing on some of these other search engines because of privacy concerns. Are you seeing any of that? I'll shift to Diane on this one.
Oh yeah, definitely.
We actually did earlier this year, before everything, we did a whole analysis of it because some of our clients were asking about Bing and everything. And I don't think that Bing has any better privacy settings than anybody else, and Google is still king. I mean, they just dominate the market. We specifically looked at Bing for senior citizens and for adult children of seniors looking for a lot of products in that market. And we still found that you get way more for your buck by using Google than switching to Bing. You can spend less money, but we still, when you look at the total number of impressions, and when you start to look at the demographics, as Brianna said, I mean, you're going to get more from a Google than you are going to be from a Bing.
Okay. Good to know. Thank you. I'm curious of one of the things one of you said earlier was this idea of collaboration. I think, Diane, you were talking about maybe your wine bar collaborating with a travel or tourism or a restaurant or something like that. I'm curious what experiences. I've always believed that collaboration is key. And I think that this webinar is the perfect collaboration between economic development and the chamber here in Charles County, first off. But, what are you seeing anything, or you have any recommendations if somebody isn't currently partnering with somebody in terms of how they could reach out and make that ask and throw out that idea? Brian, I don't know if you have any
I
thoughts
mean,
on.
I think, always collaboration is always a good thing. Teamwork. I always say that 1+1 = 3 every single time. And sometimes 1+1 = 10. If you put your minds together, you're bringing in, you talk about growing audience, right? And how to get in another audience. So, for example, I just did, and I'm keep talking to these videos because they've been so interesting to me. Last week, I interviewed a woman who's actually in the Bahamas. And she teaches something called block therapy. Well, that's a whole different audience down there that I am not that familiar with. I don't know anybody in the Bahamas. I wish I knew people that lived in the Bahamas, but I don't, I mean, so I need to probably meet some people there. But when I interviewed her, the number of hits that I got on there of people who I didn't know, people outside of my normal network, people outside of my normal email list, people outside of my website followers, were phenomenal. I mean, I'm talking like probably 300 or 400 times what it was before. And the number of views that video got that I wouldn't have gotten otherwise. These are all people being exposed to my business. So that collaboration with somebody else is great. Now, how do you make that happen, right? Like, how do you get somebody like that? And she was introduced to me by somebody else that I had worked for. But I think putting it out to the universe is a great way of making that happen. Tell people that you're looking to collaborate with other people. Make it known that you're looking to do that. I'm saying it right now. I'm sitting here on this webinar and I'm letting everybody know, hey, I want to know about experts that in your field, whatever it happens to be, I'll interview you so that I can get some knowledge out to my audience. I just put it out there, right? I bet you I get somebody who's going to reach out to me, right? And that's how it happens. You just have to state what you want and then it happens. But if you never tell people, it won't happen. I teach this thing called grilled cheese theory to my employees, my last company. And the whole concept is based off of how my software company was formed. And it was all really formed over a grilled cheese sandwich because this woman who was another stay-at-home mom, I invited her to come have a day on our farm. And we had a grilled cheese sandwich at the end of it. And she was a stay-at-home mom. I was a stay-at-home mom. Neither one of us were in the field, but I told her I wanted to own the software company. I wanted to grow this. And 9 months later, she called me and gave me my first government contract because we had a grilled cheese sandwich, because I put it out there. I told her what I wanted, and eventually it would happen. But if I had never explained to another stay-at-home mom what I wanted, it wouldn't have happened. And you don't know who you're talking to. It could be the guy bagging your groceries, but his mom might be somebody that you want to talk to. So tell everybody. And that's how it happens.
Mhm. I completely agree. I do all the sales and new business development for my company too. And I've been on a lot of networking Zoom calls. And I mean, that's one thing. Making connections for other people is something that I love doing. And put it out there to your networks that you're willing to make connections, that you're willing to make introductions for collaboration. We work with Savile Food Service. They provide all the food to all the restaurants, like really throughout Maryland. And so their first immediate thought was, oh my God, this is awful for us. And they're like, well, what are we going to do to help our clients? So the first thing they started doing is they put together grocery bags full of food for the restaurant workers that all got laid off. And they go to different locations. They've gone down to Northern Virginia. They've gone to Southern Maryland, Eastern Shore to distribute these at different restaurants. But then we said to them, well, everybody's kind of challenged with getting groceries and everything now. I know you're a food service company, but what if you put exactly what you're doing right now to support restaurants, and let's do it for seniors. Let's do it for seniors that, are scared to go to the grocery store. Let's do it, And so they've actually started a whole new line of business just through this collaboration of just sharing groceries and everything. So, I mean, even if you're slow, just call 5 or 6 of your customers, 5 or 6 of your networking partners, and say, hey, what can I do to help you? Who can I connect you with? And let's just all make this happen.
Yeah, I think that there's so much opportunity, looking at, when we asked for people to kind of chime in and state what they did, one of the first that we got was a pet sitting service. And then the most recent on the list that we've received is a nonprofit organization that works with, veterans. And so honestly, I'm trying to see, is there a connection between, these two entities? And, I don't know, but you're right. I love the idea of just putting it out there into the atmosphere and letting it happen. There is so much power in verbalizing, but then taking that next step and making some calls and starting to really proactively reach out and collaborate with others. So let's say you've got this new collaboration, this new partnership, something you're doing something. I'd like to shift the conversation, to talk a little bit to email engagement. And I think that there's, always a fine line. Email is a beautiful way of connecting and communicating with our customers, but sometimes can be challenging if we don't have a solid email list or we're afraid of email fatigue on the other end. Brianna, you want to talk a little bit about, kind of what you're doing, how you, what type of information is appropriate, what your frequency is, how you're building an email list, any of that?
Yeah, well, sort of, I'd like to talk about it. I remember I said that I do the things that I'm good at, and I haven't figured that part out. So my last company, we were a government contractor. You don't send out blanket emails to all of, to the Navy saying, hey, you should probably work with me. It just doesn't work that way. It's just a different type of audience. That's not how it works. Now, my current company, the retreat company and my business consulting, definitely that is how it works. But I don't know what I'm doing. I mean, I truly don't. I am a business owner who is trying to figure that part of it out. That doesn't mean that I just sit back and go, hey, I just won't do that. What it means is that I have to figure things out. And so it's my job to do some research and to reach out to people like yourself, the two of you, and say, hey, how do I do this? And to be honest with you, I don't know the answer. So there's your very long, I don't know.
No, but I don't think you're alone in the audience, and I appreciate your vulnerability in saying that. Thank you for that. But I guess my first question before I pivot it over to Diane is, are you collecting email addresses?
So I am some, very little though. And to be honest with you, and this is the dirt honest truth, I don't really know how to do it effectively beyond the people who have attended my retreats. I collect those and I send them out a couple emails here and there, but I don't know how to collect emails. I don't know. So I would love to know the answer myself.
Oh, Diane, any thoughts, any tips?
Well, from there, some creative ways to collect emails. One is, sign up for your newsletter or for your discounts or for your whatever you're having. And you can start with that. We actually, right before on March 17th, we had a contest because it was all set up before. And it just was trying to get people to look at our website and look at some new pages on our website. And you could, if you found the pot of gold, you signed up, and we gave away, I think we gave away Amazon gift cards, like $50 ones to like 10 people. And again, just to engage and everything, but you had to, sign up with your email. So you can come up with creative ways for contests. You can come up with creative ways for people to get content. But once you have that list, it's only as good as the data and how you have it segmented, and how you have for, like, a restaurant. Is it a catering person, or is it just a regular consumer? For a home services company, what type of service? When was the last service? How much of the value of that service was? We're trying to sell maintenance agreements for a home services company. And, we need the more data. They came to us and they said, we have a mailing list of 35,000 people. I'm like, well, but what do we really have? Like, they thought that was gold at first. But until we know all of the details of that, beyond just zip codes or, things like that. So really, really, I probably right now have 30 different segments of my customer base. I have past clients that worked with us before, but then I have lapsed clients because we're getting ready to do a free hour of brainstorming with our strategy team. And the lapsed clients are the ones I want to work with again. The past clients necessarily may not be. So again, I'm like explaining to my agency, these are the difference between these lists, So and people want information. They want value. They don't want the same thing. This is how I'm handling COVID-19. And even if I haven't worked with you for 3 years, it doesn't really matter. They want messages customized to them that provide value, that have one element in them as a call to action. So we handle state relay services. It's the telephone service for the deaf and hard of hearing all over the United States. And they're a great resource for seniors who are hard of hearing now, and for people that are deaf or have speech issues. And we're taking businesses right now that they're still operating, but they're slower. And they have time to have their employees watch a training video and get certified as a business that accepts state relay calls. And then we're promoting to all the relay users, hey, this is our list of businesses that we've certified this week. They're here, they're willing to take your call, reach out to them. So, it's the timing of the message and the call to action too.
I think in that we've got, start collecting the information, have a plan together of how you want to segment that list as you start collecting the information, and then to think of some, really realistic and value-oriented content that you're going to be pushing out. You're not just pushing out, buy now. No, there's going to be a give and take there. But I want to back it up just to fill in one other little tech piece, which is, we use for our clients MailChimp and Constant Contact as kind of the two primary, and they both have the capabilities of putting a plugin onto your website so that you can capture that data, or you get business cards and you're immediately kind of populating your list that way. So I think the first thing to do is to figure out how you're going to distribute on the other end, what tool you're going to use. MailChimp and Constant Contact are,
Sandy, as a business owner, I'd like to ask you, is there a difference between the two of them? And I know I'm turning this around, asking you the question, but is there a difference between those two in cost and value and the ability to do things?
Yeah, that's not the game we're playing today. No, I'm just kidding.
I know, I'm sorry. I just turned it around, but I really want to know, and I figure probably someone else wants to know too.
It's all good. I like MailChimp because I think it's really easy to use, and the barrier to entry is really low. You can get it for free as you're starting to build up, but there are a lot more other much more sophisticated platforms. So depending upon your strategy, if you are a small business, I'm going to use this pet sitting business as an example, probably going to have hundreds of email addresses, maybe even upwards of about 1,000. After 500, there's going to be a fee on MailChimp. But at the beginning, just to create the account in Constant Contact, there's a fee. Constant Contact has some additional, more robust features, but I find MailChimp to be the simplest. You can segment, you can create different lists, you can, segment in the pet sitting example, because this is how I work the best, is in a specific example. In that example, it could be, that you send one email to dog owners, you send one email to cat owners, you send one email to other. I don't know if the pet sitter here on our call today has anything beyond dogs and cats, maybe some hamsters or something like that they would have to pet sit for. So figuring out that piece of it is key. So I would start by researching those two platforms and to figure out what's best for you. I have just been notified, and I love it, that the Chamber uses Constant Contact, and you can save 25% off of your subscription by letting them know that you're a Chamber member. So that Chamber of Commerce membership, is saving you money. They are helping you to leverage the collective buying power of the community. So if you are a Chamber member, I would definitely recommend that you capitalize on that opportunity.
And to reiterate what Sandy's saying, first of all, you should use an email service to send out your email blasts. Do not try to do it on your own. You will be blocked. All of your emails will be shut down. You want to use a service. Okay. All email marketing is opt-in. So you've got to have that little unsubscribe section at the bottom. When you are asking for emails, you need to say, check for, I'm okay to get promotional mailings. They're very serious about this. And then sort of the next step past the eye contacts and the Constant Contacts and the MailChimp, the new level is marketing automation. So my company uses a program called SharpSpring. So now we blast all of our emails through that, but it is totally set up where if I send out just a home services email blast, everybody that responds gets points assigned. If they opened it, they get a certain amount of points. If they went to our website, they get a certain amount of points. If they filled out a form, at every point of engagement, so immediately my client can look and everybody scored from the highest down to the lowest. So they know immediately from a sales perspective, I need to follow up with these customers first. Also, we set up drip campaigns for a moving company. Let's say if somebody opens the first email, then this happens. If they don't, then the second email, this happens. So sort of once you're beyond just individual emails going out, you can go into marketing automation and really be sophisticated and use it as a sales process.
Great. Yes. So there's so much more with that, just like there is so much that we could do an entire session on SEO. We can do an entire session, days on Facebook, or, days on Instagram. Maybe that'll be the next.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So there's a lot of diving in. What we're trying to provide for you today, or for the audience today, and all of us as participants, is some information, some tools, some ideas, some different tactics to do this. So thank you for letting us dive in there. We had just a comment about templates, and personalizing them to feel more personal, to be more personal when you're I guess in your email communications, maybe. Yes, in all of the different platforms, if you have set it up correctly, MailChimp, Constant Contact, iContact, SharpSpring, whatever it happens to be that you're using, you can certainly, put it in there, the Dear Sandy, the Dear Diane, the Dear Brianna, you have all of that information that helps to personalize it. You could certainly personalize it down to, I know that you could visit our La Plata, office, or our Waldorf office, or whatever it happens to be, keeping that information, as customized as possible, will really ultimately resonate. So, what about, is there, or I'm curious of your thoughts in terms of like over marketing or oversaturating in this, while we're in this, pandemic time. Are you feeling that? Are you, do you have any thoughts or recommendations or things for people to consider? Maybe we'll start with Diane this time.
I mean, I think like any time you can overdo it. Advertising is frequency based, but you definitely can see now, a couple weeks in, the shift in messaging. Even something as simple as lawyer advertising on television has totally changed from, call us to sue your doctor, to, oh, we support the nurses and the doctors out there. And so I think like the tone has changed, but probably now more than ever, you don't want to oversaturate, but you do want to change your message and make sure that you're speaking, you're not ignoring what's going on out there. Empathy is an amazing thing. A lot of companies are taking their ad dollars and they're still spending them, but they're just spending them to thank the workers, to support the workers, to raise money, to promote something. So, just more than ever, be cautious of your tone, I think.
Nice. Brianna, anything there?
No, I think you probably hit it right on the head, Diane. Just empathy is really super important. People are really struggling. There's a lot of people who maybe just don't have a job right now, or they're worried about losing their job, and or are struggling and trying to keep a small business afloat. And we have got to be empathetic to that, not just because it's a good thing to do advertising wise, but because it's good to be a good human. And so I think if we just keep that in mind, then the rest of it makes sense. You know how often to do it because you have empathy.
Cool. As we, kind of wrap things up, and I would encourage anybody, please, you guys have been, engaged with the questions. Really, really appreciate that. I am going to ask a few kind of final questions that I have, but please, would love to get any additional comments or questions that the audience might have. And I guess, Brianna, I'm curious if you've got any takeaways or anything that you will be implementing or you would recommend others implement immediately following this webinar.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think it's exactly where I thought that I focused on the things that I could do well to start off. I focused on the Facebook and the LinkedIn. I think I've got those fairly down. The email list was one thing that I was really struggling with. And I think I got some good tips from today on how I can probably implement that and move forward on a plan using that. So for me, that was probably the biggest takeaway for today as a business owner to learn.
Awesome.
And I think Brianna said it, have a plan. Even something as simple as our social media, we populate a lot of clients' social media, and we always have a calendar. So we make sure that we have once a week, one inspirational post, one kudos to an employee, definitely one sales message, but you have to like mix it up. Whatever you're going to do moving forward, come up with a plan. I think it also helps everybody. Almost everybody's working remotely at their home. I think structure, it helps you get through your day. It's going to help you get through your communication strategy. It's going to help any new business effort to come up with that plan.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to throw out a poll question while you guys are thinking about your questions for us. And I'm curious if you learned anything that you are going to immediately start to implement. So I would encourage those of you that are here on the call to chime in. And I would love it if you want to share what it is that you learned in the chat. I'd be super curious, but yeah, currently we're at 100%. Phew, okay, thank goodness. Okay, we're at 100% that everybody learned something. I do appreciate that. But yes, and I think, I had on my list, just as a real quick kind of summary of some of the highlights that I wrote down. I love the Google guarantee, the brand-based, somebody else liked the Google guarantee as well. A couple of did. I love it. This, shifting into a brand-based advertising, and seeing how that resonates. This idea of really kind of practicing your Facebook with testing out some messaging, testing out some keywords, testing out some images and graphics. Starting with a small dollar amount, to figure out what would work there now, and so that you're not spending a whole lot in the future, or being really, really effective with it in the future. Negotiating. I loved, everything is negotiable. Thank you. And then repurposing content. Yes. Oh my gosh. If you're, creating any of this engaging content for your clients, making sure that you're sharing that across all social networks, and it's not just a one and done, that you're sharing it. It's a conversation that, I have with my team all the time about, how hard it is to come up with content to begin with, and to share something out there. Yeah, we had, there were a couple of people that, knew everything, and we did not get any additional, anything that they want to start implementing immediately, but I'm going to still take that as a successful webinar. And I do thank you. But any final, I'm going to post up another real quick final poll. I'm curious, not about the subject matter, but about how you heard about the poll today. So I'm going to let you all kind of chime in on that one. And then let's see. We had a comment, Corona for me has pulled me out of my complacency. Oh, I'll need to go back to the attitude when I started my business and get back on your toes. Yeah. I think we've all been there where we're like, oh, I'm just too busy doing it. I can't do the next thing. I'm just going to coast with it. It'll be fine. Yeah, kind of using this as an opportunity to get reinvigorated with what we need to do. So any thoughts on kind of finding new ways to get out of complacency and reinvigorate your marketing? Diane, anything there?
I mean, some of it is everybody's just had the time now, to stop running to networking events all the time. And the amount of time we're saving not commuting is crazy. So, I mean, I think time is a luxury, and, I think in some way all of us have had it right now, even if some of us are lucky enough that we have been able to keep our whole teams busy and everything. but to then, take this time and, really come up with some new ideas and brainstorm. My company, we brainstorm all the time, but I feel like that's part of the reason we were offering this opportunity to past clients and some prospects to brainstorm, because it's almost like a luxury to be able to do that. So take it,
Anything there, Brown? Are you doing anything different to jumpstart all of your stuff?
No, I mean, I am doing some things, but I think that, a lot of us have been used to going to like conferences and seminars or having like networking groups. And each one of those always, I mean, I don't know about you, but I always left them feeling a little bit energized, coming home and going, oh man, I got to get this done. I'm really excited about what I'm doing. It re-energized my thought process. And some of us are missing out on that. We're all sitting in our bedrooms or in the corners of our rooms and trying to struggle with this. And so we're missing that opportunity for spark. And so I think because they aren't being readily presented to us, we may have to step outside of our comfort zone to create that opportunity for spark. So get together a group of people who maybe you can have a list of accountability, that maybe every Friday you're going to meet with a group of people who you're going to go around the group and go, hey, you said last week you were going to send out 3 Facebook messages this week. How many did you do? Have a group of accountability so that you are getting the spark of energy, but also accountability.
I love it. I'm going to share the results from this poll. The chamber email was rocking it this time, and which is awesome. So thank you. Obviously, we're thrilled to have the chamber as a partner, speaking on behalf of the Economic Development Department, so which is amazing. And then let's see, a couple other things. Yes, Sarah had said not to forget, we talked about Facebook ads and while they're running, but they can be adjusted in the middle of.
Very true. Yep.
You can tweak
Very
it,
nimble.
change your photo if something is falling flat, whatever it happens to be. Perfect. Love it. And then, obviously, if, the chamber and economic development are, here as resources, the chamber can certainly help with, low and no cost marketing options. So I would definitely encourage you to, get out there. And yeah, somebody said that they had have a list of things, to work on, after this webinar, to get their plan together and to start to execute. And the chamber's doing a virtual chamber 101 next Wednesday from 10 to 11:30. So make sure that you get on that mailing list if you are not already. For those of you who may not be chamber members, make sure that you check that out. And then just a real quick plug, next Wednesday at 2:00, we'll have our online team building and communication workshop webinar that we'll be doing, and you can register on the through Charles County Economic Development, Meet Charles County website. Again, another shout out, thank you to US Tech for providing. Jay has been here behind the scenes with us all day today. Really, really appreciate that. And then, here are the websites for more information, making sure that you are really capitalizing on the services that the county provides through economic development, and, strengthen numbers as a member of the Charles County Chamber of Commerce, and make sure that you're really engaged there with the chamber, as they're both organizations huge resources. So with that, I again, just another little plug reminder for next week, and I'd like to just thank you too, and for being with us here today, and absolutely loved the entire conversation. If anybody has any final questions, but just a thank you, Anna, thank you, Diane.
Sure, thanks.
Thank you.
Really enjoyed the engagement today.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, with that, we will end the recording, and